Black Americans were the most married group of people in America. By 1965 and beyond, we were still up there. But somewhere after 1965, we saw a dramatic fall off. It was in that year in 1965 that the United States passed a law called the immigration law. I'm going to call it the immigration equality law. And it began to allow African immigrants and Caribbean immigrants to come to the United States. And they brought with them their culture. And all of a sudden, the measurements for Black marriage began to decline. And when you move on to the 80s, it seemed as though Black men and Black women all of a sudden just weren't getting along at all. And it was in the 1980s that Black folk from all over the world began to come to the United States. Here's the thing. Could it be that these people who we consider Black in America, shout out to Narratives and Dialogues, could it be that a lot of the social issues the foundational Black Americans had now, because of lack of cohesion, are because we have absorbed all these immigrant problems? Black men don't beat up their women like that. I
Really?
put some statistics up on my page showing, if anything, back in the 1970s and 80s, it was Black men getting beat up by Black women. So my question is, these immigrant problems, because these people come from their home countries and they have some very divergent views of womanhood.
So he starts off about their higher marital rates in the 60s and in the 70s. That is partially true. Then he starts to equate their decline in marital rates to a wave of immigrants that came from sub-Saharan Africa and the Caribbean. He's ignoring the fact that that trend still continues till today. These groups, the Caribbean group and the African groups, till this very day, are still highly married. We are married in America at a much higher rate than them till this very day. So how does this logically make sense? If we brought to America a culture that beats women, a culture that diminishes women, a culture that doesn't support marriages, then why are we still more married today than Black Americans? That is completely untrue. It's not holding water, because we are today currently more married than Black Americans. Every group is. The Latinos are, the Africans are, the Indians are. So that is not true. There's no connection with Black American culture and African and Caribbean culture. These people just never mixed up. We don't live in Black neighborhoods. I've never been to one. I've just maybe driven around it. I've never been to one. So this is absolutely untrue. And I do these videos also to kind of educate them, because I know they are looking for answers. Okay, so today I'm not even mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I know they are looking for answers. But we are not their problem, because these two groups do not integrate. We do not integrate with Black Americans. We don't. I have never gone to lunch or dinner with a Black American. Never have. I have never gone to lunch or dinner with a Black American in 20-some years. So there is no cultural integration amongst us. It never exists. Maybe on the East Coast in the DMV area, but most immigrant groups stay amongst themselves. Heck, even within the African groups, we don't really mix up like that. The Nigerians stay in their little corner. Sometimes they bring the Ghanaians in. The West Africans maybe stay in their little corner. The East Africans stay in their little corner. Last weekend, there was a party in Dallas that was hosted by East Africans, and it was really an East African party. this has really nothing to do with black immigrants. I've seen old videos of him blaming other things. Okay. I'm going to let this video play out, and then I'm going to start listing all the sequential things that happened. He's failed to mention some of the biggest changes that happened to black America before even immigrants showed up. Another thing that you have to take into consideration is we have a higher marital success rate in the Caribbean and on the continent than we even have here in the US, because Western society generally does not support marriage. Even the white folks don't have great marriages in the US and in Europe. It's not a unique black American problem. Like, this is very intellectual, so I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to be mean to the blacks, okay? This is not a unique black American problem. This is a Western problem. This is a Western problem. See, the red pill guys were a little bit correct on the cause, but they didn't have solutions to it. Their solutions is exactly what they are applying to. These are all red pill people. Go back and look at all their old contents. These are all red pill guys. The solutions that they are applying to the diaspora discourse is the same way they applied to their problems with their women during the gender wars. It's the same approach. They were calling them ugly and different names and all kinds of back and forth between them and the women. They were, had labels for them and all that stuff. Same way they have labels for us in these diaspora wars. Now, there's a lot of lies, okay? A few months ago, maybe 7-8 months ago on the old channel, I did a video about the welfare state and what the welfare state and the welfare system did to marriages in black societies and in minority groups and in poorer groups. Okay, we're not going to go back to it. If it's on the channel, you can go look for it. Maybe I'll do another video about it to explain exactly the intricacies of why this is really what I believe started the demolition process of the black family. Okay. Another thing you also have to realize is in the West, women have jobs. Where we come from in sub-Saharan Africa and in the Caribbean, the men did all the work. The women took care of families. In 1970 Africa, those dynamics changed. If you're an African and you're listening to me, there is almost a 99% chance that your mom had a job. My mama was a school teacher. She's upstairs right now, visiting. My mom was a school teacher. My auntie, who my mom follows, was a nurse. She was a teacher first and she was a nurse. Kwame Nkrumah built a lot of teacher training colleges and nursing schools across Ghana. This is why we have an excess in teachers and nurses. And women took on these jobs in Ghana in the late 60s, early 70s. A lot of women went to nursing school and went to also teaching school. So you find that most people's wives were teachers or nurses. But these women would go to work, still come home and do some work at home or raise the kids or do certain things around the kids. The reason the Africans didn't have a huge deterioration in their parenting of their children is our economies allow us to be able to hire maids or help. Also, we tend to have extended families. So in a household, in a typical African household, and this is very common with Colombia, I noticed this in Colombia too. In a typical African household, you find that not just mom and dad are in the house, but if maybe a cousin is staying over to help. So these things helped shape our children. The way I conduct my marriage is similar to the things I saw my dad do. My dad never hit my mom. My mom is upstairs. She can attest to it. My dad never hit my mom. So therefore, I never hit my wife. This is a marriage. Are you going to have arguments? Absolutely, you're going to have arguments. But our arguments don't take it to a level of disrespect. See, these people don't know Africans. They think, see, that this is one of the things the red pill did to them. The red pill told them that, oh, these guys in developing countries, they have control over their women, so they can do whatever they want with them. Yeah, partly true, we have some control, but it doesn't mean we disrespect our women. They misunderstood it. They think that because women submit to us, we have some universal control to let them to just abuse them. That is completely not true. No African would be married if we were this abusive. Okay, that is really not true. And this is one thing. You see, if you are not close to any African or visited an African home where there is a marriage, you just will not understand how Africans conduct marriages. And this is what they don't know. See, this is what Western media projects of us, and they don't know this about us. So they actually really, really believe this shit. And if that is true, then there's no way a lawyer would be married to me, because then I would be beating the shit out of her every day and she'd be going to the courtroom with a swollen face. That is absolutely not true. This is why I said these guys try to make excuses and there's no data to back the bullshit that they talk about. Why is black people in America blaming their problems on everybody else but themselves? This is why I usually run into issues with them. I don't blame Africa's sanitation issues on the West. I blame it on us. Okay. I don't blame Africa's hydroelectric or power generation issues on the West. I blame it on our leaders and us. It is our problem to fix. These guys don't want to be accountable for anything. People got jobs in the West. Women started going to work. And he fails to mention the same period, the crack epidemic. Men, instead of going to work, were high on dopamine. And they were not being able to take care of themselves, their children, and their wives, if they had any. You lost an entire generation of men over a 10-year span to the crack epidemic. And if you learn anything about neurology, the people that use and abuse drugs, those things affect their children too, not just socially, but also chemically in the head. Some shit goes off. Those were much bigger impacts than some Jamaican woman that moved to Queens trying to hustle, working 12-hour shifts. You guys don't know the story of these immigrants, man. I will play you another video I found on TikTok today. These guys think that we come to America and there's some benefits they give us that only we get, and that is why we excel. That is not true. When I came to graduate school in this country, I was only allowed to work 20 hours a week. You can ask anybody that knows how immigration works. And that 20 hours had to be on campus. Okay? I was a math instructor at Illinois State University, working 20 hours a week in developmental math. You can't do much with 20 hours a week of work, but that's what the law allows you to do. So we were even restricted from working. The federal government did not give me any special treatment to go through college. I use programs that exist for everybody else and every international student and every native student. It's called a graduate assistantship. It still exists to this very day. You have to apply to the university or the college. A professor that is interested in working with you has to accept you, that you'll be able to teach undergraduate courses, and then they'll give you an assistantship that covers your tuition. That is how most people earn their masters and their PhDs in America. It's a graduate assistantship. It is open to all people. Actually, matter of fact, when I showed up here, that was before the Supreme Court bill. So blacks even had an extra advantage that we didn't have. They had affirmative action. They were able to go to universities that if their qualifications match their white counterparts, the white guy was dropped in favor of them. Okay? And this DEI system operated in colleges and universities throughout America for many, many decades. So there has been opportunities that has been given to this population. A lot of the times in the late 90s, a lot of women took that opportunity. That is why there's more black women that ended up going to college than the men did.